Good morning. Welcome to the Wausau Police Department podcast. Today, I get the pleasure of interviewing our two newest officers. So, recently sworn in. What was swearing date for you guys again?
January 11th?
January 11th. Oh, January 10th.
It's the 10th.
So this is an important date, girls. We need to know this for the rest of your career. So January 10th.
January 10th.
2025, you guys were sworn in as our two newest officers. Both went right to the Law Enforcement Academy, which is super exciting. Before we start talking about that, please tell us about yourself. Where are you from? How'd you get here? And why did you choose law enforcement?
I'm from Waukegan, Illinois, but I like to say that I'm half Wisconsinite as I have about 8 to 9 years of school in Wisconsin. So I went to UW-Stevens Point here, and I fell in love with Wisconsin, like Central Wisconsin specifically, after being there for 4 years, and I love it here. I want to be here for a long time. As for law enforcement, I am second generation. I have lots of people in my family that are in law enforcement. My mom, my dad, my two uncles, even my dog. So it's a funny thing to say, but I have lots of legacy to uphold and fulfill. So
I've never had somebody say, even my dog is in law enforcement. Tell us more.
He's a comfort canine. He's the sweetest thing ever. I love him so much, and I'm glad that I got to see that side of comfort canine handling. It's very different. It's new and kind of nowadays, so I'm enjoying it.
All right. Molly.
So I was born in Wausau, raised in Mosinee, lived there my whole life. Had gone to school in Platteville. Took up criminal justice and some of the forensic side of things, and for a good amount of time I was leaning more towards like the lab forensic kind of thing. But my last year of high school, I really found that law enforcement and connecting with people on a deeper level was the path that I should take, and that's how I got into all of it. Continued on, had some very significant role models that got me to where I am and showed me that this is where I belong.
Nice. So you had a little introduction to our police department prior to January 10th. Tell us about it.
So back in 2021, I believe, I started as a CSO, a community service officer with the Wausau Police Department. Spent 3 summers doing that while I was at school, and it really solidified the fact that this is what I wanted to do. Made a lot of connections in the community with various people through just bike patrol, animal calls, vehicle lockouts, all the things. And I really learned that this area is not only my home, but somewhere that I'd like to start a family someday too.
All right. And for those that don't know, our community service officer program is a great kind of mostly during the summer seasonal position. We have a lot of college age students that do it as part of like maybe a path into law enforcement. And we have others that just want to do something good in the community. So you kind of had both of that with the other people that you were in a group with. I think the last couple of years we've had like 16 officers. Mm-hmm. Couple older ones that have been there doing it for a while that just enjoy it. A couple newer ones. We've got actually a lot of Wausau PD officers that were community service officers, both here and other departments. So it was kind of a great lead into our department for you.
Definitely.
Yeah. Molly, like what other things, you had mentioned like you grew up here. You mentioned you kind of had some inspirational people. We'd heard from Savannah that it sounds like mostly family. What was that for you, if you don't mind me asking?
So the school resource officer, Officer Krause at Mosinee, was a big factor in getting to where I am. The school actually does a mentorship program that's paired with NTC, so you get credit for it. And you can find somebody, a workplace, anything that's a field that you're looking to go into, and you spend a semester doing various assignments and things like that to earn that credit. So that was really big for me. And more recently, my brother actually works here as well. So
wait, what?
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay. So him getting me through academy and being able to share his knowledge has been really big as well.
Very nice. And Savannah, you have a lot of family in law enforcement. You mentioned Illinois, which is really kind of weird because I was also born and raised in Waukegan, Illinois. Where is your family? Do you have any Wisconsin ties prior to coming here for school? How'd you end up here?
Zero. I have zero ties. Originally, I went into school for conservation law enforcement. And as I kind of got through sophomore year, I kind of realized I still want to stay more traditional. And so I continued on that path of conservation law enforcement with a minor in criminal justice for my studies. And I love it. And when I had the opportunity through Stevens Point to do the police academy, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I never knew other colleges that did that, and I thought it was a unique experience.
Yeah, I think that really is, that the fact that you get to graduate with your 4-year degree and come out certifiable in law enforcement. And there's not a lot of colleges that do that. So
no, honestly,
that is a great opportunity.
It's the coolest thing.
So you guys, again, going back to January 10th, started here at the Wausau Police Department and went right off to the academy. You guys went to separate academies, which generally we try to get everybody to go to NTC. It's local. You were different, though, because you already enrolled through that program. So tell us about Midstate.
Honestly, I love Midstate. I had a class of 24. So it was on the bigger side. It was great to, my first day, I remember sitting in the class and it was completely quiet. And then as the weeks went on, it just became like this huge chatterbox that you had a hard time to get everybody to stop talking. We honestly are all great friends, and now I have friends in all different departments as well as instructors that are current and retired. And I'm glad that I have this huge family that's about an hour away from here.
Nice. So 24 students in your academy.
Yes.
How many have positions already? How many are kind of going through the process? And how many put themselves through it on their own? Because those are all options that, sometimes people don't recognize, that they might be able to go through the academy on their own and then look for a job afterwards. Or like you guys, you were both sponsored. Do you know what your academy looked like?
Yes. So I'd say about 7 of us came into academy sponsored. About 5 were hired during academy, and the rest of the students are either currently applying to places, or a lot of them are still juniors or sophomores, and so they have a couple more years to go.
Wow. So they're still part of that same program that you went through?
Yes.
Have a couple more years. Are they looking to go into law enforcement then?
Half the class is law enforcement, half the class is conservation law enforcement.
Okay. Do those then go on to the DNR?
Yes.
Okay.
That has a whole separate another academy that they have to do.
Yeah. So the same thing, again.
Yes.
Fun. All right, Molly, you had a very different experience this year with your academy.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
So I was one of 5 at NTC.
Which is really a small class.
It's very, very, very small.
Yep.
Like Savannah kind of said, the first day it was completely silent in the classroom. Nobody knew each other. And by the end of it, I truly don't think any of us would have been there without the support that we gave to another throughout. Being such a small class, we ended up getting very, very close. We got a lot of reps on everything throughout because there was so few of us, and it is 720 hours of content, so you got to make up the time somehow. But it was very, very unique to have such a small group.
Sure. So what did you guys, going into day one of the academy, what was your expectations? And did any of that change? And you're like, oh, this is not at all what I expected? Or you're like, oh, yeah, this is kind of what I was thinking it was going to be?
Yeah, so from what my family has passed down to me is that academy was military strict. And then kind of that day one going in, it was very calm, very relaxed. Still obviously professional, but it took such an ease off of me. I was very relaxed going in.
I think the best way to describe all of academy is like trying to drink from a fire hose. There is so much information that gets thrown at you. But it's very fast paced. Like Savannah said, kind of military style going into it was just kind of a different thing because I had gone to a 4-year college and that was really all I had known. So then switching the dynamic of a classroom environment was definitely a learning curve, but it was good. It was good.
So what did you guys find most challenging?
I mean, kind of like I said, there's so much information. You're really a sponge. And then you get to scenarios and trying to pick apart your brain to find, okay, this is what I need to do. Like, this is the path that we have to go with this conversation to get to what I need to do. It was probably the most challenging, and I don't think I really had it truly figured out until the last week when we were thrown into scenarios and no feedback. You finish the contact, they say end, and then you're like thinking through everything, like, okay, did I cover all the bases? And that's kind of when it clicked. But it was definitely the most challenging part, I would say, is finding those little crevices of knowledge in the brain.
Yeah, I would say for me it was, I mean, you mentioned earlier, there's only 720 hours you can fit all this content in. And as much as I don't think I want the academy to be extended, it was like so many days, it was like, we need more time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that was very much a big challenge on trying to just, you really have to be a sponge for everything and take it in and be on top of your studying inside and outside of class. Like that definitely was the most challenging.
What was your favorite part, or like what really interested you, if you don't mind me asking? Like, was there that one thing that you're like, wow, this is really neat, and I didn't realize this was part of the job, and I want to look into this more. I want to maybe focus my career kind of along this path. Do you guys have any of those moments at all?
I think going off of something that we learned topic-wise, I really enjoyed tactical response. It was something that I've never done before, and I really enjoyed doing it with my friends and having each other's back through all the scenarios. That was really fun for me.
So for those people that are listening that have no idea what that means, tell us what tactical response means.
Gosh, I don't even know how to describe it. Basically learning how to clear rooms and have the utmost officer safety and making sure you're always watching each other's backs while you're kind of navigating through buildings or any type of building, really.
So what type of scenario or what type of call might you have to use that? Did you guys kind of train?
Yes. The biggest one that we did was school shootings, which is, it's really unfortunate, but that's something that we have to prepare for. So that is something we trained the most on, was kind of any active shooter response situations.
Okay. How about you?
I would say that a topic overall would be OWI, like standard field sobriety stuff. I'm kind of a science geek, so I liked learning about how alcohol and different drugs influence the body and what those reactions can look like. It was very brief conversations, but definitely something that I want to dive into more.
Okay. Was there anything that you guys sat through? Because 720 hours is a long time. How many weeks?
18.
During that 18-week time frame, was there a day that you sat there and you're like, I never knew that this was part of the job? Or I just kind of blew your mind learning about something that you're like, I didn't realize I'm going to have to do that. Anything?
Traffic radar, the science behind it, crazy.
It was a lot.
Like, I was not expecting that. And we're looking at all these equations, and I was like, oh my gosh. So that was definitely something that caught me off guard.
You thought you could just pull the trigger and get the speed,
and it was just there.
It was just there.
Yeah.
It just magic.
We hoped. Definitely learned the hard way that there's a lot of math involved. So I can very much agree with what you're saying. It was hard.
So for those people that are interested in maybe going to the profession, do you have to be good math students to do that?
No.
It's
you just plug some numbers in, the equation stays the same, and you got her figured out.
Yeah. So today's what, Thursday?
Yes.
You graduated yesterday on Wednesday evening, like less than 12 hours ago.
Yes.
Molly was the day before. So we're, 2 days into graduation now. You guys got up this morning and put that uniform on. What did this morning feel like for you, putting that on?
I'll admit, lots of butterflies. It was very much, this is it. This is happening. You are now starting into this big career that you've been dreaming of your entire life. So it was very, I don't know. It was such a big relief. Like it's nerve wracking, but it's a big relief to finally put it on and be like, yeah, we're doing this.
Yeah.
So nervousness, excitement,
All the above.
all the above.
I second that. It was a very surreal feeling putting it on this morning. Like, we've worked so hard for the last 18 weeks and how many years before that dreaming of today, and then put it on and came into the office and I was like, holy buckets, like this is real.
So what do you guys want to do with your career? What kind of officer, like today is day one. What do you want to do as an officer? What do you want people to think of when they say, hey, there's Officer Reed walking down the street coming at me at a 400 block event? You know, what do you guys want to do? What do you want to make of yourself as the officers?
I think I really want to stand out as just being really kind and friendly. I feel like I'm just such a social butterfly to everyone, and I love making friends and I love meeting new people. I don't know. I want people to see me and be like, that's going to be my friend, like, and want to come over and talk to me.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat. I just want to be able to be somebody that the community can trust to talk to when things are hard, when they're having a good day. Just putting myself out there to make those contacts.
And on those bad days that they might have and they call us, they
really
call you?
Being the support system to get them to the resources they need, somebody to listen to them.
The neat thing about the law enforcement academies here in our state is you have a lot of instructors that come in that are working officers that not only, are police officers, but do other things as part of the job. We have special teams, we have special assignments. Did any of those interest you in learning more? And I recognize today's day one, but hopefully you guys are going to be sitting here in 25 years in this seat doing the same thing with new officers. And by then you'll have all of these experiences. Any of those interest you and you're like, that's something I want to look into a little bit more?
Yeah, I really kind of want to fall into my dad's and my uncle's footsteps in being a part of SWAT. That's something that's really cool, especially being a female. It's really challenging, but that's something I really want to do. I also have family, friends, and instructors that have really brushed upon me on wanting to be a K-9 officer, so that I think that's really cool, and I'd like to learn more about that.
Okay.
I feel like doing something with crisis negotiation, crisis management, that kind of thing really piques my interest. Very, very difficult calls, but once again, listening to people and being their voice of reason, helping them any way that they need would be very rewarding, I feel like.
Sure. So you both kind of mentioned you really want to get to know people a little bit better, right? Help them, listen to them. What are some ways that you can kind of build that trust with people?
I really like getting involved in the community and volunteering. That's something I did a lot back home throughout so many years I've been doing it, as well as being here at Stevens Point, being on the soccer team. That gave me an opportunity to really go out into the community and work with local businesses or just help people alongside. I love doing that.
So what I just heard is you're going to find some kids playing soccer.
Oh, absolutely.
And start up a game.
Yes.
All right. So anybody who's listening, when they see Officer Reed, they need to challenge you to a soccer game.
Please do.
Perfect. All right. How about you, Molly?
I think just getting out on foot patrol, walking around the parks, going and seeing families that are with kids at the playground or doing whatever, having those contacts with them when it's not always the worst day. I think that would be a good way to make myself known with the community and build that trust. Don't count on me for soccer. I can tell you that. Do not.
All right, so not a soccer player. Okay, so now that you're here, you just got out of school, training, academy, you're going to start field training. Our field training process itself is going to be another about 4 to 5 months of actually learning on the job. You're never going to be by yourself. You're always going to be, you're going to have that field training officer with you and kind of coaching you along the way. What are your thoughts on entering field training? Any nerves going into field training?
Absolutely. Lots of nerves.
I think I'm more excited to get different perspectives on how to do things. Obviously, during academy, we learned from so many different instructors and our classmates on how to approach things. So getting that experience from others that have been on the road and figuring out what works for them and then figuring out how we're going to do it.
That's a great point because everybody does things a little bit differently. And you'll see that even how you were instructed in the academy might be a little bit different here in the city. So yeah, you're going to get to apply all those things that you just learned. Our field training program actually consists of 4 phases. You guys will probably have at least 3 different officers. By the end, you go back to your original officer and they should see lots of progress and get you, where we want you to be out on your own. But, that's not going to be for another 4 or 5 months. So we'll probably come October, November will be the first time that you guys are out and about on your own. Getting out there and people are going to see you and know our newest officers. So this really kind of the first year is a lot about training. That doesn't end, right? You guys fully recognize that, 23 years later, I'm still learning things. That's the fun thing about this career is, there's a lot of learning and there's a lot of changes. The technology changes since I started. We did handwritten reports and there was no computers in the car. And now everything that you guys do is on the computer. And did you guys talk about any of that kind of stuff in the academy? And what are some things that you think you might see in your career? Put you on the spot with that one, didn't I?
We talked a lot about the way AI is kind of taking over and how it's going to affect the job in so many different ways. I can't think of anything specific that we talked about, but I know that AI was a big one.
I recognize it very early in your career here, but what are maybe your thoughts on recommendations for somebody who might be thinking about this career path?
I'd say if this is something that interests you, go on the ride along, do the things, make the connections. No dream is too out of reach. You just gotta push through if you really want something and you have the support system. Like I said, nothing is too far out of reach.
Yeah, I would say trust in your education. I mean, that's a big thing for both of us. I mean, going to 4 years or whether or not you go to a 2-year, if you're studying law enforcement, you're going to learn lots of things that are going to be helpful from that classroom now till moving into field training is going to be big for us. So trust your education.
I like it. You guys in 20 years from now get to rewatch this podcast. What would you say to your older self right now?
This is your dream come true. You've been wanting to do this forever. I mean, I grew up wearing Halloween costumes, wanting to be a police officer. And so I would just say, honestly, through the good and the hard days, just keep continuing. There's a reason you got into this, which was, I have lots of family support from that. And I'm going to make great friends along the way, great coworkers, and I have a great partner sitting next to me that I look forward to working with.
Yeah, same kind of thing. Obviously, by the time we get to watch this again, we'll have overcome even more than we have to get here now. The biggest thing is to just remember what our dream was when we started and why we got into it.
Always remember the why. During those hard nights that, you're going to have throughout your career, always remember the why. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you for having us.
One thing that we didn't mention is you guys were hired in 2025, right? Are we right in saying January 10th, 2025?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those of you listening who don't know about our badges, we actually have them numbered in a certain way. So the first 2 numbers on a badge are the year the officer was hired. And then the third one is the order at which you're hired. So Molly's going to be badge number 251. Savannah, is going to be badge number 252. You guys use that number on the radio. That's how officers refer to each other. Dispatch sends you on calls. It really represents who you are. So we have officers 251 and 252 now. Just to kind of explain more, like I was hired in 2002. I was the 4th person, so my badge number is 024. So if you ever see an officer out there and you're wondering how long they've been on the department, for us, you can look at their badge number and kind of get an idea. So thank you, girls. I appreciate
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having
time.
us.